In Southern California, beneath the snow-covered San Jacinto Mountains, lies the Colorado Desert. Within this area is Thousand Palms Oasis, one of the largest of its kind in the desert. Its natural history, with its unique animal and plant life, exists in a precariously balanced state. This film documents the existing conditions of the oasis and shows what disturbances have occurred and why further intrusions by man can only result in the destruction of its unique environment. 11 miles south of Thousand Palms Oasis is the bustling tourist town of Palm Springs. Each year, thousands of people from Los Angeles travel here to relax and enjoy themselves in the desert sun. One of the main arteries to these areas is Interstate 10. A short drive from this highway along well-paved desert roads leads one to the oasis. Life in the desert areas around the oasis is extremely sparse, but at the oasis, due to an abundance of water, a high density of plant and animal life has resulted. Water not only brought plants and animals, but man. Indians lived on the oasis for thousands of years. For the past 60 years, the oasis has been owned by the Wilhelm family. Within this dense grove of Washingtonian palms lives Paul Wilhelm, whose house is built mainly of wood from these endemic California palm trees.
The history of Thousand Palms Oasis is the history of a natural spring water point lying in a little secluded valley in the Indio Hills. It's nestled away in ochre-colored scarp of the San Andreas Fault. Geologists say and claim that this is the reason that we have so many spring waters here, and the result, 9 beautiful lakes, are a migratory trail for wild birds and even animals that live in the vicinity. A water point as old as the hills, perhaps, because in times past, as you can see from the table, Indians once tenanted this spot, Indians of various clans and tribes. This veritable island in the desert, which makes it a remarkable water point in the whole desert of Southern California, not only had Indians coming to its cooling shade, the palm tree groves, the mesquite thickets from which the Indians and the wildlings would get their food, but also later-day men like old Alkali Al Thornburg, who came here as a former scout of General Miles in the Indian Wars, who homesteaded the place, who one day was surprised himself to see a buckboard driven by a man, rather a heavy-set man in a buggy in the seat, and 2 good-looking mules. And the wagon seat was none other than my dad, and the year was 1905. The green-growing things of the oasis was a natural for him, and he loved it immediately because he is Bavaria and loved green-growing things. When he drove into the oasis, Al was sick of the oasis because of no roads, hiking in, and living often with the Indians. A famous and a historic swamp was made, an oasis of loveliness and against 2 mules and a buckboard, the pride of my dad's heart. The oasis long remained a place of retreat for nothing but the hardiest adventurers, a few prospectors and some trappers, and still a few movie directors in their sets. But it is still a retreat, a place of quiet and refreshment, still sought out by the nature lover, but now in modern cars and not, as in former times, by stagecoach, on foot as came the Indians, by wagon and team, burro packs and horseback. Here, it is hoped, will always be locations for recreation, refreshment, and rest. For the crystal spring still flow, and palms whisper in the late evening and early morning. Birds sing cantatas to the silver dawn, and the ochre-colored hills, bluffs, mesas, and buttes of the phantom hills smile over this enchanting desert scene, a region still at peace and half forgotten, as it was when Indians walked the old familiar trails from one oasis to another.
The animals and plants of the oasis exist in a delicate balance, each depending on the other for survival. The bees depend upon the plants for their food, while the plants depend upon the bees for pollination. Many of the plants immediately surrounding the oasis are typical of the Colorado desert. Such plants as Bebia juncea, commonly called Chuckwala's delight, Erigonium inflatum, the trumpet bush, Encelia californica, or desert lavender, and many different types of cactus, such as cholla, and pencil cactus with its sharp, piercing spines. The animals, of course, depend upon the plants for their existence. To study these relationships, several students of the natural sciences have come to collect, preserve, and photograph the area's unique natural history. The most common types of animals in the oasis are the insects. Probably the most conspicuous are the many different types of dragonflies. Insects are collected mainly by the use of a net. As it is passed along the bushes, insects in its path are swept into the net. The net is then examined, and the insects are removed and placed in a killing jar containing sodium cyanide. The insects will be used later on for study in the laboratory. Since water is present on the oasis, insects will be found there as well as on land. A net is placed in the water and stones are moved around in order to dislodge the insects. The insects are caught in the net, which is then examined to find out what has been collected. Many types of aquatic insects live in the oasis, some of the more common being the large green dragonfly larvae and the smaller coiled caddisfly larvae. The insects are then placed in vials of alcohol to await further study. This young man is attempting to capture some of the frogs that inhabit the oasis. Among the reeds, he has spotted a small one of the genus Rana. The frogs are predators of some of the insects previously seen. A photographic record of the plants is being compiled in order to place the plants in their proper relationships within the environment and location in the oasis. Of course, some people just like to take it easy and walk around in order to enjoy the natural beauty and sounds of the oasis. Reptiles comprise a major portion of the vertebrate animals in the area. The horned lizard is a common type of lizard found around the oasis. It has perfected the ability to camouflage itself by changing its body color to match the desert floor. He can be more easily observed on this rock. This student is collecting lizards by utilizing a pole with a small loop attached to its end. The loop, which is not seen by the animal, is slipped over the lizard's head and jerked up, providing a harmless and effective method of collecting lizards. A young desert iguana, scientifically known as Dipsosaurus dorsalis, has just been caught. Other reptiles in the area are snakes, such as the red racer, which, unfortunately, outraced the collectors who are trying to capture it. Another student is conducting a study on the population size of the deer mouse, Paramyscus maniculatus. The animals are captured alive by the use of a Sherman box trap. The trap is baited with almost any kind of food. The location of the trap is recorded in the field journal. Later on, we will observe how the traps are utilized in making population estimations. Some insects are not capable of being caught by the sweeping method. It is necessary to go deep into the dense vegetation immediately surrounding the water and carefully search for these insects. Here the collector has located one of the largest and heaviest insects found in California. It is the palm boring beetle, found only in conjunction with the Washingtonian palm. Living on the reservoir built by Mr. Wilhelm is a resident pair of American coots, a small black bird. Each year, a new family is raised by these pair of coots. However, the reservoir can support only one pair, and so the following year there will still be only one pair of coots living there. The next morning, breakfast is served and is eagerly devoured by a hungry crew. The first item to be taken care of after breakfast is the checking of the traps. A closed trap has been located, which indicates that an animal has been caught. The capture is recorded in the field journal. The animal will then be removed in order to mark it. Here, inside the trap, is a typical specimen of the deer mouse. After removal from the trap, the ears of the animal are marked with red fingernail polish in order to be able to re-identify the animal if it is recaptured. By comparing the number of captured animals with the number of recaptured ones, an accurate estimate of the population size can be made. After being marked, the animal is released back into the population. One of the physical characteristics of the desert is the extremes in temperature. During the time that these studies were being made, the temperature reached 108 degrees Fahrenheit. This, of course, means that it is time to end the study and go swimming. The oasis, however, is more than an area for pure scientific study. It is a place where one can escape the tensions of the barren city and enjoy the sensual qualities of the natural world. The water has made the dense plant life possible, and these plants support the many types of animals found here. The life exists in a delicate balance, and when disturbed by man, the delicate balance is upset and the environment changes. The ecosystem of this area is soon to be permanently destroyed by the construction of a large housing development. As our population expands and it becomes necessary for civilization to enlarge its boundaries, such areas are inevitably doomed to destruction. Yet man is a part of the natural environment, and the destruction of the natural environment can only result in man's own destruction. The loss of the oasis is only a symptom of the decaying world. The entire problem is a cancer which threatens to destroy us all.